I am going to move to Angelique, and I just need to give you thanks. So Angelique has been a connector of many of us and a friend. And so I want to thank you for all your time and effort in helping make this happen today.
My pleasure, Nicole, and just thrilled to be here again. And I was so fortunate to meet so many of these lovely, inspiring women around the world globally in parking in person. On a recent world tour. So I'm really thrilled for that. And I can see Ruth's lovely background, and I can see Australia in the bottom corner over Ruth's left shoulder. In Australia, it's currently 4:17 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I can see a couple of our members sitting on there. So I'm going to say shout out to those people who got up so early to watch this live. So thank you so much. My name is Angelique Mentis. I'm an innovator, an entrepreneur, and I love to engage with similarly minded women in our industry across the world, like our fabulous panel today. And being all the way from down under in Sydney, I've had the immense pleasure of meeting you all. I fell into parking about 15 years ago. I actually, my profession is a corporate finance attorney, and I lived and trained and worked in Australia and the United States in a very different market. Having been the proud mother of 3 young children in very close succession, working corporate hours across the world became challenging. And after segueing through property development, I landed in parking, trying to solve a personal problem. So I've been doing that for the last 15 years, and I volunteer and serve as a director on the board of Parking Australia, which is our industry association, and I'm the immediate past president for the last 2 years. We have had, not ideal representation of gender in our association in Australia, both in the general level and also at board level. So we're working really, really hard to try and even out that balance and give women the voice in the industry that they deserve, to be honest. So thank you so much for having me here. And the beautiful Nicole, who's just amazing, and I adore. Thank you. Okay, well, I started off with a little bit before. I fell into parking. As Donald Shoup would say to everybody, I backed into parking. And having been in that corporate finance world, which was, very, very niche, I think the big difference and what you heard from Jade and what you heard from Nicole is parking is a world of its own, but it's so multifaceted. It's in operations, it's in marketing, it's a property play at the end of the day, and much more so more recently, it's a smart cities play in terms of where we're going, and technology play. So with my corporate career, it just got too hard, and my journey into parking started from a personal problem where I found people were parking in my parking spot, in my residential building, in my office building. And it was something that I decided I wanted to stop and needed to solve a problem from personal needs. So I understood the pain point really well, which connected me with it. And so decided to find products that would stop people parking in our parking bays. And that's when I started my first parking business called That's My Spot. And it's basically asset protection on the individual bay level with a series of bollard types, which go from manual to automated with motors and remote controls to smartphones. And from that, it's evolved into something that is connected to a building management platform that you can optimize and turn over your parking bays, as well as secure them from an individual level. And I was sort of tapped on the shoulder to join Parking Australia, which has been really interesting. Our parking market in Australia is much smaller than the US. But after my visit there, I think technologically, and with all due respect to my lovely colleagues in America, we are far more advanced from a technology sector. And our behavioural changes, especially since COVID, have reflected that, and we've adopted technology at a bit more of a rapid pace than the US. So I think I like to see us as an innovators market. So that's been my entry and how I landed in parking. It's just really fascinating to see so many people like Jade or Anj now who have come from the ground up, and Nicole, that you've been there for years and years and you've evolved. And then you've got people like Pamela and with Sandra that come from the corporate world that bring in a whole lot of different skill sets. And the one thing I think you see in parking, everyone gets so passionate about it. people get emotional. So having those soft skills with frontline workers especially is really important, because people get a sense of entitlement around parking and they get very emotional about it.
Thank you. Angelique and Jade, I'm going to ask you the next one. So, and it kind of ties in a little bit. What is your advice to get people to find their voice before they get a seat at the table? And then once they get there, how do you stay and grow as a leader? And I think what Angie said, so many things that were relevant, but we all need a champion and mentor. But this part, before you even get there, how do you find that voice? Once you get to the table, how do you stay there? How do you grow? How do you get promoted? Angelique, I'll throw it to you, and then Jade, I'll throw the same question to you.
Oh gosh, having been in the corporate world and being, at the age I am, I think we've evolved through a whole lot of different changes in the workplace. And I think the younger generation, gosh, you're lucky. There's a lot more opportunities for you there. I mean, Nicole has a story, I know, not dissimilar to Anjana's, and we all sort of take our kids around everywhere. But I think the most important thing for me, whether it was in my legal corporate career or now, is being authentic to myself and being true and put my hand on my heart and the values that I live in life and align those with my business. I think that is so important to bring that to the table. And in parking, to be authentic, to get further up the line. I think as a woman, you've also got to find where the way you present yourself and hold yourself, and to be able to convince, like in any industry, convince everybody at the table of your skill set, of your knowledge, of your industry expertise. And thinking outside the box for me is really important, and to bring that innovation to a business room, a business table. And I think, as you would have heard Pamela say, the innovation and the differences in the leaps that we're going through right now, to be able to be curious with your learning, to be open to a whole lot of ideas, and to have a very big growth mindset. And I don't think it's just for parking. I think it's for any sort of business.
Thank you very much. So I have to say, we're coming, the clock is ticking and I'm watching it, and I wish we had more time because I have more questions that I want to ask. But I do want to end by asking each of you a final question. If you had a tagline or a quote or words of encouragement to share with women in parking today and all of our attendees that would enhance their career, their lives, or their overall well-being, what would it be? Angelique?
Okay, I've got that, but with a cheeky Aussie spin and a little bit short.
Good.
Pull up to the rock star parking space you deserve, then own it.
Ooh, can you say that again? I like that.
Pull up to the rock star parking space you deserve, and then own it.
I love that.